Hi Soul Family. So this is an amazing opportunity for me to share with you the amazing gifts that are coming through at the moment that are being streaming through my consciousness with the goddess Isis, and it's something that I'm being pushed to do, and I'm really glad that I finally did it. Some of you have already got your ISIS crystals, and this is actually a video for those that are going through the process of ascension and looking to upgrade their systems. I wanted to actually go through a little bit about how this process came about, just so that way you're informed. I believe education is the most important part around ascension, because we need to understand what it is that we're going through in order for us to feel embodied and empowered to share it with others. This is the crystal elixir that you will be working with. It will look like this when you receive it. The reason why it will look like this, and a little bit of background, I do talk a lot about how to work with crystals in my introduction to crystals classes, but in particular you will be receiving this Lemurian quartz wrapped up in some leather. And the reason why we use leather is because leather, silk and fur are the only materials that protect your crystals from being contaminated. The actual crystal itself, when you open it up, will have some instructions that come with it, because this beautiful crystal has also been embedded with instructions that you can use in order for it to cleanse other crystals. So not only will it be used for your elixir, but it is also instructed so that it amplifies and also energizes and cleanses any of your crystals that you have. I'll be going through that a little bit later. When you will be using your crystal elixir, it will be beneficial for you to use a glass bottle. The reason being, natural fibers, natural materials are a lot better for us when we work with elements of nature. And so I would highly recommend that you either find a bottle that you can put your crystal elixirs in, or a large jar, so that way you put them into the windowsill that is going to receive sunlight, and use that for 24 hours. So I'm going to go through that process a little bit more in a minute. But before we do so, I just wanted to talk a little bit about the crystal itself and the crystals that it has been embedded with, because that's very important. And there's some amazing crystals that have been used for this elixir, and I really wanted to just explain them so that way you get as excited as I am. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is the actual crystal, where the crystals were laid in order for us to create this impression that was put into the quartz. So these quartz crystals have been potenized, with the crystals that you see in front of us, so that they hold the frequencies of these crystals in its matrix. So that they've been instructed to hold these crystals in its matrix. And because of that, you will have access to these 31 crystals vibrations inside the quartz. Now, the reason why we've used quartz is quartz not only holds the vibration of other crystals, but it strengthens the stones that have been embedded into its matrix. And this is something that I also talk about in instructing or programming quartz. This quartz will not only be able to enhance your energy, it'll also be used for you to work with these vibrations in your healing, as well as your ascension and detoxification of your body. I am going to be going through the process of using these crystals with the clear quartz in more details as we go along, but for this process I just wanted to talk about the crystals that have been used and how the crystals were embedded. So we used these Lemurian quartz, and the reason why the Lemurian quartz were used is because the Lemurian civilization, for those of you that are aware of Atlantis and Lemuria, were an ancient civilization that existed before humanity. And these people were very heart-based and spirit-based conscious beings that were on this planet and had abilities like telepathy, that they could dematerialize and rematerialize, all of these amazing things that we might not believe we can do, but the reality is that we have those codes embedded in us. They're just laid dormant. And so with the use of the Lemurian quartz, not only are we connecting into the technology of Lemuria, we are connecting into the unification and quantum energy of Lemurian energy frequencies with this quartz. So the quartz itself is not particularly large, but the good thing about that is these stones are extremely potent, and the reason why I didn't want them to be huge quartz pieces was because that would potentially over-energize the body. And the reason why you want to make sure that you take the elixir daily is that you're bringing that vibration into your body, so that way it works to embody those frequencies and those abilities of these stones. So these stones were actually placed in Goulburn, New South Wales, and the actual place that we used these stones to amplify their intentions were on a huge power spot. So when I talk about a power spot, the earth itself has veins, it has chakras, and it has energy points that are not so great, but then it has energy points that are amplified with the centering vibration. And so these centering vibration points used to be what the ancient Egyptians, the Atlanteans, and the Lemurians would work with in order for them to bring through the vibrations of the oneness. And so this place in Goulburn, actually, these crystals were used to embed these codes in, was placed on an energy spot, a huge energy spot. Actually, it was probably a good 50 meters wide, and that is a huge energy spot. Usually they're like 50-cent piece size, and these stones were placed on this energy spot, and it was left overnight. And I can tell you now, the night and the day that these stones were placed was so magical. Not only did we have snow, we had sunshine, we had rain, we had hail, and then on top of it, the next day we had a rainbow. So for me, that is just confirmation after confirmation after confirmation about how powerful this actual stone has been charged with. And for this particular round, I only have 30 of these crystals, but I will be making more because of this process of the stones and elixirs being part of the next phase of my ascension process that I'm sharing with my soul tribe. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about that. At the moment, we are going through a massive transformation on the planet, and as you're aware, that transformation needs us to up level. Now, everyone talks about up-leveling. The way that I like to explain it is that we are crystallizing within our energetic body. And in order for us to crystallize, we have to detox, we have to heal, we have to embody. And that process on a 3D level can be quite long. And so the reason why these elixirs have come through in order for me to share this wisdom with you is so that way we can up level a lot faster. And not only do I want these crystal elixirs to be for those that are more inclined and used to using crystals, but I also want it to be a process for people that are new to crystals to actually feel the difference of using crystals in their life. And this whole process of bringing the energy of the crystal into our vibration is quite exciting, because the beautiful thing about crystals is that they don't change in their form. That is, unless they're not tampered with. And so what we're seeing a lot more of now is the radiation and heat treatment and coloring of stones. And in this process, we actually cause trauma, and in some cases we actually damage the crystal, and then it's not vibrating in the health spectrum, it's actually doing the opposite. I do talk about this in my introduction to crystals, so I highly recommend you check that out. But I wanted to let you guys know that all of the stones that have been used are completely raw, natural, and some of them are master crystals, and they've all been specifically chosen in order for us to embody these crystalline properties within our physical body. So like I was saying to you before, crystals do not change in their composition. They're the one form that is connected to the spiritual organs of higher dimensions, higher beings. And so the higher dimensions and the higher beings, they use crystals in order for themselves to embody in the physical 3D their vibration. Okay? So basically, crystals are here to ascend humanity and to help us transform and transmute all of the lower vibrations that are no longer serving us. But a lot of us don't really know how to use crystals. I've spent a lot of time teaching the psychology and symbology of crystals, and now moving into elixirs, I feel like what's going to happen is that we're actually going to understand how these frequencies not only exist in our physical world, but how we can also develop them within our own life, our lifestyle, and use them for our ability to heal ourselves, to manifest, to create communication, beautiful relationships, connection to nature, all of these things. But it's not just knowing about these things, it's how do we practice them that I'm really committed to. And part of what I'm going to be sharing with you is the 31 crystals that have been impregnated into your Lemurian quartz, but also the way that you can use your quartz as a practice for you to start working with these higher frequencies. One of the things I wanted to also say is that if you are using your crystal elixir and you're finding yourself going through a process where you feel nauseous, chronic fatigue, headaches, aches and pains, even flu-like symptoms, I highly recommend you just stop using the elixir and contact me directly and wait for information to move forward. The reason being is that you could be dealing with Kundalini syndrome or ascension symptoms. Now, there are crystals in this crystal that are here to help us with the ascension symptoms, because a lot of us who are upgrading, doing the meditations, doing the work, are feeling those symptoms anyway. But there's also the chance that if we overload our body with too much energy, we can also end up getting it stuck. And so when it gets stuck and it's not flowing, it can also overload the system. So a lot of the time when people fall asleep in meditation, it's not because they're sleeping, it's because their body is tapping into a vibration that's higher than them, and so their vibration isn't able to assimilate that energy, and so in order for it to assimilate that energy, it shuts down, almost like a reboot. And when they're sleeping, the energy flows a lot faster through their body and helps them to create a bigger battery. And that's what it's about. When I talk about miraculous healing or instant manifestation, it's because your frequency is so potent and so connected that you just become an instant, channel for anything that you want, and that whatever it is that you're bringing through. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the crystals. I'm not going to go through every single one of them because we have 31 crystals, but like I was saying, this process that I'm working with, I'm going to explain some of the crystals that are here, and as the weeks progress, I'll be giving you some new ways to work with these crystals and some techniques in order for you to amplify the vibrations that are being grounded inside of your vibrational field. I've kind of laid them out from the grounding to the heart to the higher energies. And so I'm just going to go through the ones that I really wanted to share with you that have all been chosen, I should say, for this, and why I think it's so impressive that this has come through channeled for this particular elixir. So like I was saying before, or if I hadn't said it before, I'm saying it now, this actual elixir was created with the connection to the goddess Isis, and that particular goddess is somebody that I have felt a very strong connection with. It's something that I've channeled in deep journeys where I've been through ascension processes with the goddess Isis, Thoth, and other schools that are working with the Mary Magdalene code, Sophia code, and also working with Mary Mother of God, who was actually the first being ever channeled to me when I was probably about 14 years old. Amazing. It was something that I cannot explain, but when I knew that this was my path, I understood that this isn't just about bringing up the divine feminine, it's also about bringing up the divine masculine. And so this whole crystal elixir transformation is something that I'm hoping will be embodied by men and women as a process of ascension, as well as reclaiming the actual powers that they've had in the past. So a lot of the time I say to people that have come to crystal classes, it's most likely that they had past lives where they worked with crystals and they're remembering that information. Okay, so I want to talk a little bit about the crystals and why they're so amazing. The first one that I want to talk about is this is actual wood, fossilized wood. And this particular vibration connects not only into trees, but you got to remember that trees have been around since the dawn of time on this planet. And so they have a really strong vibration of the past. And in order for us to heal the present and the future, we must go to the past. And so the trees hold that vibration, that knowing of the past, and help us to ground as well. So that's something that we will be working with, is some grounding techniques, but you will also be able to use this for past life recall. Another crystal that has been used in this elixir within the vibrational field is tiger's eye. And one of the things that I love about tiger's eye is that when you're going through a transformation, when we have the download, that's kind of like the will, yeah? And when we have the will, which is the drive, it's like we have the focus. And so the tiger's eye is part of that focus. It helps us to bring us back into the vision of the eye of the tiger, what it is that we're here to do, and to stay on focus. We also have some beautiful red calcite. The reason why I love calcite is the actual calcite vibration is really good for assimilating energy, and the red quality in calcite is really warming. And so this particular vibration is to help with the igniting as well as the assimilation of these vibrations. When I was talking to you previously about the Kundalini and the ascension symptoms, a lot of it is because our body is dealing with detoxification. So the calcite along with the sphericobalite, and this piece is just absolutely gorgeous. It's one of my favorites. They're all my favorites. I love you all. But this particular stone, sphericobalite or pink calcite, has got some beautiful iron in the actual matrix as well. So sphericobalite helps to assimilate the energy on the physical, emotional, mental, and etheric. So it really helps to enhance our psychic abilities on all levels through the assimilation. And with that extra iron in the matrix, it's really going to ground that in. Now, all of these grounding or lower vibrations are going to be amplified by the pyrite. The good thing about pyrite is because of its cube structure. Now, this is where I like to talk about the psychology and symbology of stones, and we're going into shape here. So we've got the cube, and if you look at the cube, it's shaped like a brick, right? So that means it anchors in its composition. It's an anchoring vibration, and the pyrite is good for clearing the mental chatter. So it helps to anchor any mental chatter into the physical, so that way we stay focused and we don't get too overwhelmed by the mind. And so this vibration is really going to help because of the higher vibrations that are in this 31 stone composition to bring it all down and make sure that we don't get stuck in the air, because that's something that you might find with spiritual practices, that we might get so high and so elevated that we find it hard to be physical. And we have to physicalize, we have to create material wealth and career progression, all of that type of stuff. So it's really important that we have this grounding energy. The next crystal I want to talk about is a special one that came from wee jasper, and this is actually a quartz that I believe was coral. But the beautiful and amazing magical thing about wee jasper is that it used to be part of the supercontinent. And I had an induction when I went to there, and they were saying that there's only 2 places in the whole world that are connected to the supercontinent that haven't had all of the layers, right? So you can imagine over the millions of years, the layers of the land have compressed and created the soil, whereas in wee jasper, all of those layers are still completely evident and have not compressed. And so not only is it part of the Gondwana supercontinent, but it also holds the vibration and the magic of that supercontinent. So this particular stone, or this milky quartz, has that vibration and it connects us into that supercontinent vibration. This is another stone. It's a form of agate, and to be honest, it doesn't have a name, or it did have a name, but I can't recall it because I didn't write it down. The gentleman that I bought this from said that it's a completely new stone. So the actual vibration of this stone is linked to agate, which is very earthly, connected to this physical plane, and because of its structure, you can see it's quite expansive, or it permeates in its vibration. It's not particularly heavy, it's smooth and milky. I find its vibration is very comforting. And so this particular vibration, I feel, is connected to the new vibrations that are coming through for this 5D ascension, and how we can expand ourselves but feel that calm and nurturingness of the earth having our back, which is something that we need to remember, is that as long as we stay in confidence and security and knowing that we are the creators, we'll be able to create this transformation in our life. So we have some indigo gabbro, and the indigo gabbro is very, very powerful. It's an adaptogen. And when I say that it's an adaptogen, there's only 3 stones that are known to have adaptogenic principles within their matrix. So what they do is they connect into the centering vibration, which is the creator. But this particular stone, it removes negative energy and turns it into positive energy, which is the only stone out of all the stones that has that quality. So it's the only stone that is self-healing, which is amazing, because as you create these elixirs and work with drinking them, it will amplify your self-healing abilities, which I'm really excited to be creating a practice for you all to work with that vibration. We also have some argonite, and argonite's really good for allowing us to go with the self-care principles that we need. So if you're somebody that doesn't know how to rest, or you're constantly going, oh my God, I got to do the next thing, you know, it's really important for us to trust in the universal flow. If we're with a friend and we said, oh, you know, I was going to be somewhere at 2 o'clock, but we haven't finished what we wanted to do together, and, you know, the other appointment might seem like, oh, I'm going to be bad if I don't stick to my schedule, but that schedule's being imposed by myself, and you realize, oh, actually, I can just go with the flow, and all of that other stuff that I'm going to get done will get done because I trust in the universal flow. And so it's about knowing when to take time to rest and self-care. So this is a really important vibration for us at this time. The other one, carnelian. So this carnelian is actually a bead that was gifted to me by my boss, my ex-boss Jed from Mineralism. Shout out to Mineralism. They are an amazing store and I love them to bits. Such ethical human beings and such high caliber of product. They always look for products that have been ethically mined, which for people that don't understand, crystals hold trauma as well, and so it's really important that we understand is if we're blowing up the earth to pull these crystals out, what are we doing in that process? Long story, but okay. This carnelian bead was part of a string of beads that would have been owned by a tribe. And so that tribe would have had the different families, which would have one bead per family. So this bead used to be the bead that family would use to heal with, or that tribe might have healed with. Stones are so precious. We don't actually realize back in the days you had to really look for a stone, or there would have been a stone from that particular place of origin, and they would have been used for trading and trading livestock, food, all of the things that would have been quite expensive back in those days. They really respected and used them with tender loving care, and so this bead has not only got the energy and vibration of carnelian, which is a very creative vibration, connected to the also tantric circles of the goddess Isis, but it also would have had the memory of back in those days, those villages working with stones and the vibration of stones and the healing that they would have embodied in those specific tribes. So amazing, amazing energy. Another master crystal that I wanted to talk to you about is this smoky quartz. So the smoky quartz helps to absorb any detrimental vibrations within our energetic field. So that kind of thing where you get shocked and then it gives you such a shock that it might give you a bad day. The smoky quartz absorbs that out. So that way when you get that shock, you're not going to be spiked by that energy vampire or by that thing that happened to you to bring you down into a slump. Now this particular one is a twin flame, so it's got the twin element to it, and for any of you going through twin flame relationship things, this will be an amazing vibration to work with within your ISIS / quartz Lumerian elixir. And it also has phantoms. It has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, I think it has about 7, maybe more phantoms in it. And so the phantoms help us to deal with our shadows, but it also helps us to work with our intentions and work with amplifying our intentions as well. So this is going to be great for relationships. It's going to be great for healing all of the things that are going on with our relationships, not just in our personal and romantic, but our friendships and community, which is something that's huge at this time. So we have some emerald, we have some hemimorphite, dioptase, chrysocolla, some watermelon tourmaline, and some rainbow fluorite. The reason why I'm going through all of those at once is because those vibrations are very connected into the heart, very connected into how we can assimilate the heart vibrations, so that way if we have got anything going on that needs to be transmuted. So things like disappointment, abandonment, things that have shocked our energetic system because of lack of relationships, lack of connection. These vibrations will really help to bring that through. So the next stone I'm going to talk about that I'm really excited about as well is the ocean jasper. Now the ocean jasper is another one that's an adaptogen crystal, and this is also going to be working with the shape of the sphere. The shape of the sphere helps to amplify and send out energy from all directions because it's continuous, right? But the actual energy of the ocean jasper is it's a master manifester. The actual ocean jasper, when you look at it really close, it has little orbs in it, and so those orbs bounce off each other to help create any intentions that you put into its matrix. So these beautiful Lemurian quartz are all going to have the ocean jasper inside of its matrix, which will help for you to create master manifesting techniques in your life. I'll be doing some more techniques on that, so very excited. The next amazing crystal that is also very special and one of a kind. This crystal was also one that I bought when I was over in the crystal fair over in America. It's actually amethyst with azurite. Now azurite's another crystal that's connected into the goddess Isis. Lapis lazuli is its actual original form, but the lapis lazuli has crystallized and become this beautiful azurite, which is that beautiful blue on the top. So we have the amethyst, which is already the third eye connection, and then we have the azurite, which is also the next level of connection into our psychic abilities. So this particular stone is just incredibly powerful and has been embedded within the matrix of these Lemurian quartz. We also have another one here that has some mica, some lepidolite, and some tourmaline. I've said that this is one crystal, but it's actually 3 crystals in one. The tourmaline is really amazing for heart connection. I'll be going into more of that later. So now we're moving into the higher vibrations. So we have here a selenite wave. Now this beautiful selenite wave had to get saved because it was raining and snowing, and I had to pull it out during the middle of the night because I didn't want it to dissolve. So selenite actually dissolves in water. It did dissolve a little bit, so it has been not only dissolved into the matrix of these crystals, but it's also, I would say, been offered for this ceremony. And I love the energy of the selenite. Selenite's like very much connection and white light, but the wave, and I'm gonna explain why the wave is so powerful, is that if you can imagine how all of these stones have some sacred symbology embedded into them, this wave energy is something that you'll be able to use for your healing in order for you to amplify all of the energies that are coming through your body. So amazing. Another one that is also amplifying this crystal is the fugilite. Now fugilite is actually lightning that has hit sand and has created, usually it's actually a tube, and so they say that you would either breathe in or breathe out from the tube in order to amplify something. So if you were working with fugilite, I'm going to give you a couple of techniques on how to use that to amplify with your stones. And this particular energy brings lightning. So if you can imagine lightning frequency, and I'm going to be talking about the electric violet or the lightning energy, which will be part of the series that you'll be learning about, but that's in the actual matrix. Another amazing crystal that is just next level is this beautiful quartz. It's a master crystal because it's actually an celestial quartz. So the celestial quartz is the one that I work with personally, and it's one of my favorites. The celestials in itself work on multiple levels. It's kind of like a switchboard for energy. So it works with past lives, it works with connecting with interdimensional beings, it works with clearing yourself and, you know, creating a portal of connection. So just working with an celestial holds the vibration of the creator in its energy. But this particular quartz is one that has a bubble in it. So it's I think it's called an anhydro. That's the word I was looking for. So it's an anhydro celestial quartz. Now, the reason why the bubble is so powerful is because the way that the crystals hold their vibration and amplify their vibration is through the water composition in the crystals. So I was saying to you before, with radiation and heating, it kills the crystal because it draws out the water. So one of the things that we don't realize is that when we put salt into a bowl to cleanse our crystals, the salt actually acts as a way to draw out the crystal's energy. And so it's actually not that good. And this is something I talk about as well in cleansing crystals. The best way to cleanse your crystals is running water or using them with other stones, kind of like in permaculture, to cleanse and amplify. So the anhydro helps to amplify the quartz like tenfold, more than tenfold. And so not only is your Lemurian having the celestial, it has the anhydro as well in its matrix. So it's like triple amplification. On top of, we have some apophyllite, and apophyllite's another stone that connects into the spiritual organs of the celestial being. So it really helps to connect in when we're channeling. We have some ametrine, and for those of you that have bought ametrine, it's probably most likely amethyst that has been heat treated. So it's really rare to find ametrine, but the beautiful thing is that you'll be able to use this quartz to bring that vibration in to your energy field, and you'll also learn how to work with using these crystals to heal with. The other one is we have some danburite. Now, danburite helps to assimilate energies as well. Now, this is a danburite with wolfenite, and we have some star mica as well. So I'll be talking a little bit more about the star mica, and we have some cerussite. Now, I have a really quick story about cerussite. Cerussite is really amazing because when I had hurt myself, I got bitten by a meat ant, and that meat ant bite was so intense, like my finger welted up, and I did a lot of clearing during pranic healing, and I got rid of most of the pain, but the welt and the actual finger was still there days afterwards. And so I started asking Spirit, what can I use to get rid of the welt and clear the energy completely, because I was curious as to why it wasn't healing. And the cerussite was one of the actual crystals that came up. And the reason why the cerussite is so powerful is because it helps to rewire the brain where we do not believe that we are capable of creating our reality. So it's kind of like the same concept as if somebody had glasses all their life and then they had a healing and they were told, now you don't need glasses. How will the brain adjust to actually trust that they don't need glasses because their reality has been telling them that they needed glasses all their life? Cerussite. So the last but not least, and the most impressive one out of all the stones, and the one that I've helped to channel all of this information through, is this beautiful Lemurian ISIS double terminator quartz. So this has also been embedded into your little Lemurians. So that means not only will you have the vibrations of this channeling ISIS stone, it will also enable you to connect into all of the channelings that I'll be working with to bring this new crystalline energies through for you in the future. So very, very exciting. And that's a little bit of an overview of the 31 crystals. There is actually 2 more crystals that I wish to bring into this mixture, but I'm going to bring them in at a later stage, and that's going to be something that you'll learn how to do in this process as well. So if you're wondering where to next, I just wanted to explain how you will be creating your elixir. It's super simple. You'll just be getting your glass container. You'll be sticking your crystal in the bottom gently so that way it doesn't chip. And then you'll be filling up your container with water and just placing it on a windowsill where you will get sunlight. If you don't get sunlight directly, don't stress. It is best if it does have sunlight. That way you'll embed the water with sun energy, and that is quite masculine energy. And then you'll be leaving it overnight so that you get moon energy, so that it'll embed the moon energy, which is feminine energy, and then you'll drink it the next day. So if you put this crystal elixir water in at 8 a.m. the next day 8 a.m. it'll be ready. You can, take it out earlier, give or take, but that will be the actual water that you will be drinking for that day. And so, like I was saying to you before, I want you to be aware of any of the sensations that you are noticing when you're drinking your crystal elixir water. And you can, before you put the crystal in, set some intentions. So, I want some help with my career, finding the right job, making sure I manifest the right friends, help me with, working with my ascension, all of that stuff. Even if it's in the actual bottle, it doesn't matter. You can just place your hand underneath and do the same intention setting before you start the next 24 hours. And so that way you're bringing that into your field when it's all done. So I will be sending some information about all of this stuff and a little bit more around these stones using the book that has stone medicine written by one of Jeffrey Ewan, who is the Jade Purist lineage monk who has the most amazing information around Chinese medicine and how stones were used in Chinese medicine. And so this book holds all of that information. I'll go through these stones and give you a little bit more insight as to how they can work with specific symptoms. And I really want you to give me some feedback as to what is happening during your process, so that way I can gauge the time frames or any of the symptoms that come up. This is all very powerful vibrational remedies, and I want this process to be something that will help you to amplify but also smooth sail through this transformation. Okay, so that is pretty much it from me. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to having the next forms of transmissions coming through. Many blessings.